Prime Minister Ali, once again, thank you for speaking with me and for granting me this opportunity. Can you talk to me a little bit about the roadmap and how many of the benchmarks that you've been able to meet, and so far what has been the sticking points that you're still working hard at?
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be with you. You know, we signed the roadmap back in September 2011 in Mogadishu, Somalia, where it was the first national conference where all the Somalis met inside Somalia and where all the Somali stakeholders met and decided to chart their fate. The reason we have the roadmap, a roadmap is two words, road and a map. The map takes you from A to B, and the road is the road that you're going to take going from A to B. And the reason we did that is because for the last 12 years, we were in a transition, I said, in permanent transition. And the reason we never got out of this transition was because we never had a framework to get out of that transition. So the roadmap is composed of four main components. One was security. The second was political outreach and reconciliation. The third was good governance. And the fourth was ending the transition, writing a constitution for Somalia, and having a new political dispensation in August 2012. Most of these tasks, they had benchmarks and they have timelines, okay? And we have completed all tasks. Most of these tasks, I can say 95% on time, and some of them we did more than expected. If we start with the security, as I said again many times before, back in June and July, when I became the Prime Minister, we controlled only less than 50% of Mogadishu. And after we signed the roadmap and we engaged in all the security activities, we liberated the country. Most of the country support, most of the areas controlled by Shabab, we liberated and we stabilized it. We started from Mogadishu and other big major towns like Abdiweli, Baidoa, Hudur, Afmado, and others, among others. So in terms of the security, we did a lot of improvement in that regard. And nobody would have thought 11 months or 9 months after we signed the roadmap that all this area would be liberated from Al-Shabaab, but also stabilized, and life is coming back to those areas. In terms of political outreach and reconciliation, we did a lot, because we knew when I came Prime Minister that the challenges are many, the tasks that we have to achieve are also many, and the resources we have were very limited. So therefore, since you have all these challenges, the only way that you can move forward is to be united. So we wanted the central government and the regional states to be united, to have a common purpose, and to have a common objective. And that's why me and the President visited Puntland, Galmudug, Beledweyne, and other places, but also my cabinet members will also go into different parts of the country, Baidoa, Hudur, Lower Juba. So we wanted to connect the communities, to connect the federal and the regional governments and the regional entities. So that was the reconciliation and political outreach that we have been doing. Moreover, in terms of good governance, Somalia is, always said is the most corrupt country in the world. I don't believe that. I don't believe that that index is true. But the worst thing that happened to Somalia was the collapse of state institutions. So the only way, it's all about institutions. The only way that you can come back is to have a solid institutions, building basic institutions. And we did a lot in that regard by, establishing the Anti-Corruption Commission, trying to build state institutions, and also, so we made a huge progress in that regard. In terms of the last component, but the most important one, was to get out of the transition by adopting a constitution for Somalia, the first since 1969, but also selecting a smaller but more efficient parliament, and having a more democratic political dispensation in August 2012. So all the benchmarks and all the timelines were met. You know, and I believe that the remaining ones will be completed on time by August 2012.
Okay, you just mentioned constitution, and so far that has proved to be drafting constitution has been sort of the most difficult and fair to say very controversial.
Sure.
I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Where's that going right now in terms of actually having a functioning, fully fledged constitution?
You know, there's nothing controversial about the constitution. Look, our constitution is based on Sharia. Our constitution is Sharia compliant. Our constitution is founded on our customary law. Our good customary law is also has some fame standing in that regard. But others who might have ulterior motives will, you know, propagate this, you know, this propaganda of no constitution means no full governance. That's the basis. No constitution means no full governance. Being in the transition, we have been in for the last 12 years. So we made a decision that this, you know, and the constitution process started back in 2005, 2006. It has been going on for the last 5-6 years. So it has to end. We have to. It has to culminate to an actual constitution. It cannot be open-ended forever. And we need it because for the next political dispensation and to get out of the transition. And by the way, once it's provisionally adopted through Constituent Assembly, because we cannot adapt through referendum because of the situation of the country. It will be provisional, it will be interim. And then once the country becomes peaceful and stable, we'll be able to take a census, we'll be able to then submit for approval through referendum, where everybody can vote, yes or no, for the Constitution of Somalia. So, and in that process, there could be amendments, it could be improved, it could be, you know, you can add, you can. So, I don't see the controversy. I see that we need a constitution for Somalia, and we can improve on the current one, but at the same time, we cannot be without constitution. That means that we have to work on the charter. That means we will be in transition, and that means we will be things will be the way they always be for the last 20 years, and that status quo is not acceptable.
But I guess one of the reasons why it has been controversial so far is that, you know, a constitution is, in a sense, the identity of a country. This is what this country is about. These are the values. And now you just mentioned that it will be sort of Sharia based. Yeah. And as you might understand, that gives a lot of people, you know, some worry. And I'm sure it makes a lot of people very happy to hear that. When you say it's going to be Sharia based, what exactly does that mean?
It's Sharia compliant. We are a Muslim country. We are 100% Muslims. So we don't want to pass laws that will be against the religion. You know, so although we are a federal government, we'll be a secular government, but at the same time, we want our constitution to be kosher. You know, that's what you want at the end of the day. So, and you know, the propaganda that the people were talking about is that anti-Islam, this and that, which I'm now saying is not the case. So, of course, it is the document of the country. It is the most important document that we have. You know, and it has to be, you know, it should not be, for example, time-sensitive document. You know, it will be our document for the next 20 years, for the next 10 years, for the next 100 years, and maybe for the next 200 and 300 years. So it is a very important document, and we have to be very careful, and we have to be diligent enough to make sure that it's a constitution that Somalia deserves. It's a constitution that protects the political freedom, the civil liberty of the Somali people. It has to be a document that is gender neutral and gives the rights of protects the rights of minority, the rights of women, and so on and so forth. So it has to be a document that Somalia deserves and that Somalia needs.
And it still be Sharia compliant at the same time. That seems like a contradiction in terms of that.
Why it should be a contradiction in terms? Does that mean that the Sharia doesn't allow the rights of women? Does that mean the Sharia doesn't allow the rights of minority? Does that mean the Sharia doesn't allow the rights of minors? No. So I don't see these two things are not mutually exclusive. You can have a good constitution that's Sharia compliant, but at the same time a constitution that protects the rights of every Somali and protects the sovereignty of the Somali individual.
Okay. Well, that's for a much longer discussion, but I just have one last question that I wanted to ask you since time is limited. There's supposed to be this election in which 225 MPs will be elected. What is that process going to be like, and what are you making sure to what are you doing to make sure that it's transparent and a corruption-free process in terms of the eligibility and the qualifications of these MPs? What are the criteria that you will be using to make sure that these people are actually
selecting? This parliament will not be elected. It will be selected by the traditional elders. Genuine traditional elders will select this parliament. So, but they have to be selected on a criteria, and the criteria was set in Garowa 2, whereby they should have a minimum threshold of education, which is a high school diploma. They should, the members with no history of criminality and warlordism, people with a good moral compass. So we want the next parliament to be a good parliament, to be a quality parliament. That's why we have there will be a selection, a technical selection committee, whereby they don't have a say. They have no say on the selection process, but they will be the gatekeepers. They will make sure that the person who has been selected for the parliament fulfills the requirements needed and the criteria set in Garowa 2. There will be international observers, 7 people from the international community, 2 people from the United Nations Political Office for Somalia, and another 27 members from the Somali community. So they will be the gatekeepers, and we have to be all vigilant. I'm not saying you have to put your guards down. We all Somalis should be vigilant, and we have to make sure that the next parliament will be a parliament that the Somalia deserves, because it is the basis of all the other organs of government. It's the basis of all the other institutions of the government. It's the mother of all the institutions. So they will elect the speaker, they will elect the president then will nominate the prime minister. So the basis. So you have to make sure that the basis is strong. The base is, should be selected on a transparent manner. Should be transparent and credible and legitimate.
That is very important above all, that people believe that this is a body that's working for them and their interests. So I wish you the best of luck with that very challenging job, and thank you very much for speaking with me.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, it's been a pleasure.